Hi there, I'm Angela. Welcome to the channel and welcome to Friday Sews. Hi all, it feels like forever since I've talked with you guys. It's good to be back. We'll get more into those details later. But for now, just a couple little pieces of housekeeping. Thank you to Jen from Today in Jen's Sewing Room, who has created the hashtag Friday Sews like way back a long time ago. But it's such a wonderful avenue for all of us to like kind of check in with each other on a Friday or later in the weekend and see how everyone's doing, how our week went, what we've been working on, and so forth. And thanks to all of you guys for hanging out with me tonight on this Friday evening. I appreciate you being here. And just a couple of other little pieces of housekeeping. One, in case you guys didn't know, it looks like Style Arc is having a sale on all of their pants patterns, 20% off. And I think it's going on till like March 27th. And it looks like it includes both PDF and print patterns. And one of my sewing goals for this year was to try more of the non-big four pattern companies and more independent patterns, whether they're printed or PDF. So I did actually go ahead and get one pattern, and it is PDF, so I was able to download it right away. And now I'm kind of drawing a blank on which pattern it was. I'll put it up here after when I'm doing the editing and put a picture of the one that I got here. And it looks like they're also having like a coupon code where if you buy a PDF, you get to choose a PDF free or something like that. And there are two that you could pick from. So I did go ahead and pick one of those, and I'll put that picture up here too. So I'm excited to try Style Arc. I have often looked at their website and loved like the looks, like their aesthetic and the looks of their patterns, but I've never sewn with any, so I'm pretty excited to try that. And then the other thing, I think I was going to tell you guys one more little piece of housekeeping, but I kind of forgot. So if I think of it as we go, I'll let you know. So as far as how my sewing week went, um, I am kind of jumping back into the saddle of sewing after having been out for about 3 weeks. So I was kind of under the weather, actually bedridden with food poisoning for counting the time I was actively sick and then recuperation time. It was about a week and a half. And then I spent about a week and a half between travel time and vacation time in Florida at my uncle's house. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. So all of that meant that I've gotten like no sewing done. I'm still working on this simplicity skirt. I won't get into a whole lot of details because I've talked about this several times. You guys are probably bored of hearing it. The one thing I did want to share though, so all I've done with that is cut out the pieces. And I did get those cut out before I went on vacation, thinking that, well, at least everything will be ready. When I get back, I can jump into sewing. And that kind of hasn't happened yet, but I'll get there. The sewing mojo will be back soon, I think. But the thing that I think is kind of mentally, like giving me a mental block on it, is that the fabric, which is this suede material, I'll put a description of the fabric in the link in the description box below, along with where I got it. But it's this gorgeous, like medium blue suede-ish kind of fabric. And it has a little bit of stretch, not a lot, but a little. The thing that I ran into when I cut out my pieces, I'm still like a pen and scissors girl. I don't do rotary cutting in general, except for quilting. Like I almost exclusively do rotary cutting when I'm cutting out for quilts. But this fabric was so hard to get a pin through. I mean, now it's not, of course, because I'm showing you guys. And I think it's because I'm holding it up and I'm kind of like holding it taut that the pin's just kind of like going right through. But when it was like laying flat in double layers on my cutting table, I swear I could not like hardly like poke a pin through it. Like even here, it took a little bit of pressure to poke through. Of course, now it's going through easily, but I promise you guys, and maybe it's because I'm going in like straight, whereas maybe at an angle it's harder. I could not hardly get pins through these to cut my pieces out. So it had me a little concerned, like, how's it going to be when I have to pin the pieces together to sew them? I'll find out this weekend because I'm definitely jumping into this and at least getting some of the seams stitched up. I've got to get into it, and then my sewing mojo will come back. Sometimes that's all we need, is just to take that action, and then we're good. We get into the flow, and it's like, oh yeah, I remember how much I love sewing. Then the other kind of things sewing related I wanted to share with you guys is that I listened to the Love to Sew podcast. Do you guys listen to Helen and Caroline? I'll put a link to them below. They do a great podcast called Love to Sew, and I can't remember if they're on YouTube or if it's just like an audio podcast. I love them. I've loved listening to them for a long while. And they oftentimes, whatever topic they're talking about, they'll give like really good tips. And so they gave the greatest tip on one of their recent episodes. It was episode 226. I'm kind of checking my notes down here to make sure I tell you guys right. And the thing was that, so it was talking about like it was a fabric Q&A. I think that was maybe the title of the episode. And they talked about, if you're still kind of learning about fabric weights, and especially if you're ordering a lot of fabrics online, and the weights that the manufacturer provides or that the vendor provides, it may not mean as much to you if you don't have as much experience, or even if you have a lot of sewing experience, but you haven't been like consciously aware of the difference in weights. I mean, we all know that maybe a denim is a lot heavier than a cotton batiste or something like that. But to actually know, to look at like the number of the weight on a fabric description and know how heavy that's going to be, they suggested that you put together like a little fabric swatch booklet. And whenever you get a fabric in, you can put it into your swatch booklet and then write down the weight of that fabric. And it'll help you kind of learn what the numbers mean. And so when you see the numerical weight of a fabric on a listing, you'll immediately know, it'll become intuitive that you know how heavy that is. I love that. Many times when I've ordered fabric online, I look at the weight and like I have like a general sense, but I'm not 100% sure. And then when I get the fabric in, it just comes down to like, do I like the fabric or not? And what can I make with it? Even if the weight is not what I expected, I can usually find something else to make with it. But then I forget, like if I forget, when the fabric arrives, I figure out what I'm going to make with it, but then I totally detach from whatever the numerical weight on the listing was. I hope all that made sense. But having that booklet in place will kind of really help it solidify to you. So I wanted to pass that along. If you don't already listen to Helen and Caroline, do check them out. I think you'll really enjoy their podcast. And what else? The other thing is that I'm kind of, now that I'm getting into more PDF pattern sewing, I'm kind of starting to think about how will I store those printed patterns. So far, the two that I've made from Love Notions, I know that I'm going to make them again. And I'm not sure like how to, like I have the pieces, the pages printed out, it's all taped together. How will I store those? If you guys have any good ideas, like for what I've been doing, and this may not be the best thing, but I've really kind of just been like keeping them taped together, but then folding them all up and putting them in a manila file folder. So I don't know if that's good or not, or if like those creases will iron out. I'm not sure. I figure there's got to be like a better way to store those printed PDF patterns. So I would love to hear any good suggestions you guys have on how you do it. So leave it in the comments if you don't mind. I would love to know. Maybe other people would love to hear that too. So one other thing to share with you guys, sewing related. So if you follow Love Notions patterns, which I just mentioned, I've made two of theirs and I love them. every Friday they do a feature Friday pattern where they choose one of their patterns and then sell it for $5. So a couple of Fridays ago, like not today, maybe last Friday, or maybe even the one before that, it's been so long. I did purchase the Terra tunic, so I'll put a picture of that one here. I don't purchase every Friday, their feature Friday, but if it's one that looks like it's my style and that I might like to make, I might go ahead and do it because it's a good savings. And that's about all the sewing related things I have to share with you guys. I'm really hoping in the coming week I will have progress on this. I keep saying that it's going to happen, right? And so yeah, I mentioned at the beginning of the episode that we did go on vacation last week. We went to the Panhandle of Florida. It's for anyone maybe not in the U.S. It's kind of like the northwestern little strip at the top of Florida. And my uncle has a house there, and he invited us down. So we went there, and it just so happened that it was the same week that the Quilting and Sewing Expo was going on further south in Florida. So we kind of we went to my uncle's place not just to visit, but kind of to help him out. So he was going on vacation with his wife, and they needed someone to dog sit for them. They haven't been down there that long, and they don't have like a regular dog sitter. And I guess they didn't want to put their dog in a kennel, which I can totally relate to. So we went down there to dog sit and stay in their very nice house, which was extremely close to the beach, which was such a lovely situation. And it just so happened I got in touch with Marty from Sewing Nerd Confessions. I'll link her channel below because I knew that she lived somewhere close. And I thought maybe we could meet in the middle or meet somewhere. And it just so happened that she was actually traveling to the sewing expo, and she was willing and happy to make like a little slight detour over to where I was staying at my uncle's place. So we spent the evening together. We had dinner, and it was so great to meet her in person. If you guys don't follow her channel already, please give it a look. Just a little word about that. She is currently taking a break from videoing because she's had some like major transitions going on in her life. She took a job in another state and had to move, and trying to sell her house. There's all kinds of like big life changes going on for her right now. So I think she's kind of taking a break from videos, but the ones that she does have out are really good. And she is so fun and friendly, and I've always thought like gotten that feeling from watching her videos. But after meeting her in person, it was just so awesome, so much fun to hang out with. She's so friendly. And hi Marty, if you're watching, I'll put a little picture of the two of us up here in case you're interested. And other than that, that's about all I have to share with you guys. I hope you're having a great weekend so far. Hope you're going to get lots of sewing done if that's what you want. And maybe the weather's good where you are. We're kind of having a little bit of like of a colder snap. It was warming up and now it got cold again. It's okay though. It's not freezing, so that's okay. I found out after when we got back home from Florida. I'm in southwestern Ohio, which is about a 12-hour drive north from where we stayed in Florida, that we actually had snow here two of the days that we were on vacation. Not much, just a dusting or maybe a half inch, but so at least it's not snowing right now. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you'll tune back in next time when I will have tackled this fabric and have at least something to share with you guys. And I hope you have a great weekend. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.